Let's go.
Dr. Rosie Milligan, one of the most sought-after speakers on the circuit today. Her live internet talk show, Express Yourself, is the most provocative, thought-provoking, and talked-about radio show on the internet. There's no holds barred, and Dr. Milligan puts the B in bold. She brings it every Tuesday live at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Rosie has been proclaimed the most provocative female writer of the century. Her books include Satisfying the Black Man and Black Woman Sexually Made Simple, Why Black Men Choose White Women, and the book Nigga Please. These books have raised eyebrows across the country. She has authored 21 books and published 350 titles for authors nationwide. Check Dr. Rosie out at drrosie.com for her books, articles, and archives of her internet talk show. Sit at the feet of wisdom. Dr. Milligan is indeed a timekeeper and scorekeeper. She is the clock, calendar, and almanac for Black America. You need to hear her.
Yes, top of the morning. We're here. Yes, we're here in sunny California, coming to you live from Express Yourself. I am your host, Dr. Rosie Milligan, coming to you live with straight talk. That's how we do it around here, folks. Nothing but straight talk up in here. We have a wonderful, engaging, and informing show for you today. So if I were you, I would get on the phone right now and get all of my friends, my relatives, everybody I know to listen to this show today. It is a must hear. Today, we are going to talk about your family legacy is being stolen and how California's death tax is destroying generational wealth. I'm going to repeat that. Your family's legacy is being stolen. And we're going to talk about how California's death tax, that was Proposition 19, is destroying generational wealth. Now, folks, just imagine this. You spend your whole life sacrificing to buy a house for your family, a place of memory, stability, and legacy. Then you pass away. And your kids are left not with your gift of love, but with a crushing tax bill they can't even afford. They have no choice but to sell the home that you have worked so hard for. Hand it over your family's future to the highest bidder. Let me repeat that. To the highest bidder. This is what California's Proposition 19 is doing to everyday families. It's not just unfair, it's robbery. Plain and simple. Robbery. So, our guest today is none other than Miss Gina Tse-Louie. She's an advocate, policy expert, and champion for generational wealth preservation. So let me just welcome my guest. Gina, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Dr. Rosie. You and I have been in this fight for over 3.5 years now to fix Prop 19.
Exactly, and we are not going to give up. But we are here today to really to expose the ugly truth about the so-called death tax. Whew.
That's right, we are.
Yeah, and share how it's turning California into a renter state. Not a home buying state, into a renter state for big investors and banks who are holding houses that have been repossessed and still on their books that people could be living in. Because if you have these houses, now you can do Airbnb, you can charge people what you want to for rent. So actually, you make more by keeping these homes than you do on the mortgage. Folks, we're going to change this. We got to turn it around. I think there's been a second go-round, right, Gina?
We did. We went through a second campaign, and we're hoping for a third campaign, which is why we need everyone to register at repealthedeathtax.com so the sponsors will start the third campaign.
Absolutely. And one of the things going to be really critical for us to get in touch with our representative and let them know, and we'll put a letter together for those who feel like, well, I don't know how to write it, I don't know how to say it, or you can contact us and we'll give you the verbiage. They need to be concerned about your children and your children's children. If they're representing you and they are seeing what's happening in California with it becoming a renter state, everything upside down, folks, you haven't seen homelessness yet unless we fix Proposition 19. Let me give you an example of something that happened. Let me paint a picture for you. Okay? Now, let me tell you what happened. We had a father who passed away, leaving his home to his two daughters. Under Prop 19, the property taxes jumped from $2,000 a year to $12,000 a year overnight. These young women, already struggling with student debt and high cost of living, were forced to sell their father's dream of passing on to them. Do you feel angry when you hear stuff like that? Did that anger you? You should. It isn't just their story. Guess what, folks? It could be yours. So, Gina, we're here today to revisit Prop 19. So, can you tell the audience a little bit about it, your take on it, because you've been on the bandwagon for this a long time, and I appreciate the fight in you, that you didn't give up. I'm not giving up. And there's a lot of people out there who didn't understand it at first because they did not see the repercussion. But now, I don't know about you, Gene, but I'm talking to people on a weekly basis who are locked into this. I can't pay these taxes. What do I do? So let's talk about, for those who don't know about prop, can you kind of give them the history of it and just give them a little bit about it, and then we'll take some calls.
Okay, so Prop 13 passed, and that gave protection to a lot of homeowners that were getting priced out of their homes from property taxes in 1978. Then reinstate 58 is what we want to do because Propositions 58 and 193 were taken away from us through Proposition 19. They say that it allows you to pass your property on to your children. But what they don't realize is, yeah, you can pass it on to them, but they might not be able to keep it, like your story of the father who passed away and his two daughters who cannot afford to keep the property because the property taxes are exorbitant. I got into this fight because over 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with a brain aneurysm, so I was concerned for my two young teenage children. How can they get out of high school or college and afford property taxes of $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a year? You know, there are cities like San Francisco that in 2004, the average median property value was about 400 and something thousand. Well, now we know San Francisco is well over 1.2 million. And that's why cities like Sacramento, Bakersfield, places that people thought, I'm not affected, I get that $1 million exemption. Give it one generation and everyone will be affected in those areas. And that's why we need to fight to stop this intergenerational injustice where they're taking away the homes from our children that we've fought to keep them secure. I saw through the Great Recession when families were losing homes. This is big. This is even bigger. The average median property value is about 400 and something thousand. Well, now we know San Francisco is well over 1.2 million. And that's why cities...
Gina?
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, hi. I'm calling with a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my question is this. We have a trust that basically states that our property will go to our son, and therefore I don't think that we're impacted by Prop 19 because we have a trust. Can you please comment on that?
I sure will. Here's what's happening. If your child moved into your principal residence, then they can get that parent-to-child exclusion. Say your child already have their own home, and if they don't move into your principal place of residence, that tax, I don't care if you have it in a trust, probate, whatever, that property tax is going to raise to market value. Here in LA, it's an area of Merck Park. Well, most, many houses here, over $1 million. That tax will be $1,000 a month on top of the mortgage that you're leaving for that child. Another example, say you had an apartment unit, 4-unit apartment. Your child can only move in one, okay? Then the other three, a portion is going to go up to market value. You only get exempt for 1/4. So whether it's in a trust or not, if your child does not move into that property, it is going up to market value. That's why we call it the death tax. Did that answer your question?
I heard though that two things, that like you have to move in, the child has to move in within a certain amount of time, and that there's like a $1 million exclusion, and that helps some people, but certainly not people whose homes are worth a lot more just because of the prices of California.
Gina, you want to answer that for?
And that's correct. You do have to move in within 1 year. You're supposed to file certain papers with the county assessor and recorder to make sure that you don't get fined. In the past, they said that they weren't enforcing the fines, but now I'm hearing that they are, because we're going to deficit, right?
Right.
So that 1 year time frame is really challenging for a lot of people who don't have a will or trust and have to go through probate, because the average time for probate to settle is 18 months. So you have to figure out who's going to live there within that 1 year so that you can take advantage of that 1 million exemption. And like you said, in certain areas where the property values are 2 million, 3 million, and even 4 million, that 1 million may not help at all.
I have one last question. That is, that's too bad, because my son want to move in, but he's got a really great job elsewhere, which I guess he'd just have to quit, and if he has to move in. But why? But can he also, since he would be the one inheriting, can he just inherit it and then just rent it out for a while and still qualify?
No.
No. He have to live in that property. That's why we call
that's
it
not
the
the way
death
it was.
tax.
Well, that's not the way it was before. It used to be that I think, like when I inherited the house that he will, you just you could do whatever you wanted with it. It was your property. The government wasn't going to tell you what you could or couldn't do.
Absolutely.
That's ridiculous.
Even if you had more than one property, you were able to get the exempt on it. So that's why we are fighting with all we got to
it's
stop
not just
this
then
generational wealth.
Yeah, because it sounds like it's not just the fact that your taxes are going to could go through the roof, maybe not, but could, but that then they're going to tell you what you can and cannot do. You've got to live there, I guess, within a certain amount of time, and then you can't rent it out, or anything like that, or you'll lose that. That's just terrible. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's correct. We've lost our constitutional property ownership rights.
All to get together.
Tenants have more ability to leave. We don't.
I don't know if anyone can hear me, but I have a comment to that directly.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Give us your name. Ma'am, give us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Sindel, and I'm calling from Los Altos, California.
Okay.
My mother died 3 weeks after Prop 19 went into effect. The house was in a trust, and I not only had to pay the property tax on, it was about, I think, 1,100% more than what she was paying. Not only did I have to pay that for the next year, I had to pay the balance of it from the year that she died in.
Supplemental tax, right?
Exactly.
You got a bill for supplemental tax.
The first year was something in the neighborhood of $46,000 I had to pay. So I am living in the house. I am benefiting from the $1 million reduction of assessment. That's all it is. If your house is assessed at $4 million, you pay what the assessed value would be on $3 million. And that's if you live in the house. If not, you're paying the full assessment. So if you want it as an income stream and you want to rent the house because maybe your son does not want to move and lose his job, then you're paying the amount. So it would be in the neighborhood of I think it was like $4,000 a month for property taxes if you don't live in the house.
A month. Can you repeat that? A month. And if you're renting it, what tenant are going to be pay enough rent to cover, particularly if you have a mortgage already and an increase of $4,000 a month tax? Folks, that's thievery.
Yeah, and having it in the trust makes no difference.
Absolutely. Now, the only problem with if it's not in a trust, if you're in probate, you cannot meet that timeline as to whether you can move into the house. I'm an estate planner, and I'm telling you, probates now in California, you're looking at least 2 years, 2 to 3 years for probates now.
Wow.
Okay. Caller, thank you for calling. That's a powerful testimony, and I hope people understand. And that's what I've hit a lot of people, Gina, that supplement. They go, well, what's this? I got the tax bill, now I have a supplemental tax. Folks,
right.
You go to the assessor's website and start looking at, what happened and what can happen. It is nothing to play with. We cannot sleep on this because, once you lose that property, you can't go back and get it. It's hard enough now for the next generation behind us to really purchase a property in California in the first place. So this is really critical. So, Gina, go ahead and, tell them what we need to do. And if we have other callers,
here's the thing.
Go ahead.
Sindel was right, because here's the problem we have is there are people that even sell their homes because they're forced to sell, and then 2, 3, 4 years later, they're issued a supplemental bill after they've dispersed the money from the estate. So they still owe the money. And I've talked to the assessors, what can be done about this? Because there's a backlog. So we really need to get people aware, because a lot of our kids may not even know that there was a difference before Proposition 19. They may think this is normal. And so we need the younger generation to help us fight against this intergenerational injustice when only 15% of Californians can afford to buy right now. So what they're doing is they're taking away the homes that these people would live in before they can even become an owner through these outrageous property taxes. A reminder, everyone needs to register at repealthedeathtax.com. So the sponsors will start the third campaign. The other thing is you need to reach out to your legislators, like Dr. Rosie was saying, and ask them to draft a bill, a constitutional amendment that will fix Proposition 19. Many will tell you that their legislative packages are full, or that, they do something if something crossed their desk. Well, if they don't draft it, it may never cross their desk. So we need to put the pressure on the legislators to save our family homes and to save small businesses. And by the way, tenants are affected as well. When a landlord passes away, the property taxes could go up so high that the family will be forced to sell it or increase the rent. And what we're finding out, there was a new legislation coming out by Scott Wiener to enhance SB 9, which is going to force the sales of homes, sell it to developers, like you were saying, Dr. Rosie. And you know what? Homelessness is going to occur.
Yeah.
Huge amounts.
Absolutely.
Seniors are the largest demographic falling into homelessness.
And you know what, Gina? The average senior right now, if someone decides to sell that property that they're living in, they will not be able with their retirement or Social Security income to rent a place in California. Folks, this is nothing to play with. And the reason it's so important is we need our legislators, we need them to pass a bill on this. It failed the last time for sure because we didn't get enough signatures on the petition. Unless you have mega dollars to have people standing in front of stores paying people to solicit and get the numbers, it's very hard. And then after COVID, a lot of people, have kind of dissing themselves. It's just too hard. And I'm sure that the Javas, and they don't want to keep spending all this money with failed attempts. We know what's going to work. The lawmakers have to put this in place, and we have to put pressure on them. So if they don't care about you, they don't care about your home, what you're leaving for your children, I hate to say it, why should you care about them? They don't have your best
We
interest.
do need to. We do need to put the pressure on them, which is why a few of us went up to Sacramento recently and tried to get them to draft that constitutional amendment. But like I said, they're going to need more pressure than just a few of us. They need hundreds of thousands of people coming down on them. And they need every generation coming down on them.
We really have to get to the young generation because they are going to be the one that's impacted. It doesn't matter. I don't care if they have a PhD. I don't care what type of education they have. If they stay here in California, this Prop 19 is going to be very detrimental to them. So we got to find ways to get to them. So how do we do that? Everybody have to take the responsibility. You need to have your family. If each one of us make sure that everybody in our family and the personal contact that we have, because Gina, there's thousands of people, they're getting these tax bills. They haven't even heard of Prop 19. They don't even know why they're getting it. And you raised a great point. Even after probate has closed or people have disbursed from a trust, they have no idea that these these tax bills can still come. Because once somebody makes that transition, everybody that's a beneficiary, what do they want, Gina? They want their money right now. They want their money. And the executor and successor trustee, without having this knowledge, they go and make that disbursement. So who do you think is responsible for those taxes? Think about it. So there's a lot of information that has to get out. Let's see if we have another caller on the board. In fact, I didn't even get the number out. I got so involved. It's 310-928-7733. That's 310-928-7733. If you're at work, you don't want anybody to hear what you're saying, you can email us here at innerlightradio@yahoo.com. That's INNER, Innerlight Radio. Keith, did you have a comment? That's my co-host. You've been listening.
Basically, we kind of warned people like 3 years ago that this was rolling down the hill and I guess people don't react until things start to happen. So it is what it is, and it's not going to get any better in California. So people need to write letters. People need to you got social media. Email your representatives. It can be turned around.
Right, and if they don't respond, put it on social media that they didn't respond to.
That they didn't
Call
respond.
them out.
Yeah.
That's what we got to do. Call them out.
Social pressure is real. That's what the Democrats found out this election year, that social media is really, really powerful right now. So you don't even have to get out and march and protest, all that kind of stuff. You don't have to pick up the phone and make phone calls. Social pressure is real right now.
So anybody that's not getting response from their representative, Gina, I think we need to have a number or a hotline. We need to know who's not responding, and we just need to blast them. We need to put them on blast.
Sometimes I've suggested to a lot of people that want to get politically active, right? Start a Twitter list and have everybody
Yes.
sign up to your Twitter list, and then send out Twitter blasts. Because if you get 10,000 people that repeat something on Twitter, it goes into the news automatically. So you could literally
Absolutely.
have them print articles or whatever you want to put out almost daily if you get enough people on Twitter.
So
Well, that's what we need.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
need the
And
younger generation
they know
creating
how to do
videos
it. TikTok, put it
that go
everywhere.
viral.
That's
I
right.
mean, it go viral. Okay, this is the thing, and because a lot of your news organizations they follow Twitter, and for something a trend on Twitter takes maybe anywhere from 5 to 10,000 people either sharing or retweeting something. So if you get enough people on Twitter, you can actually get a post to go either go viral or trend. So, and then a lot of your newspaper people look at what's trending on Twitter. So if you get enough people, say you get a Twitter list of 20,000 people, you can actually start trends. You can actually get your message into the news cycle.
Keith, we're going to have you to help us with this. I really want you to be a part of this team with
Mm-hmm.
helping to get the word out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think it comment upon any organization,
Mm-hmm.
wherever there's a group of people, this message has to be painted clear because everybody want to be able to pass to the next generation, but
Right.
they don't know that this exists. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't wake up and hearing about on Channel 2, Channel 5, Fox News talking about this. So how do they know? You go to church, you didn't hear anything about it. Nobody's talking about it at school. How do you get the word out?
Right.
That's what we have to do.
Yeah.
And social media, we know, has been a tool to get the word out for many, especially political causes. Back to you, Gene.
So definitely you can plug in your address to find out who your representative is at
Mm-hmm.
findyourrep.legislature.ca.gov. That's findyourrep.legislature.ca.gov. Once you plug in your address, they'll tell you who your senator is, who your assembly member is, and you can also find this information out on 4californians.com. And that's 4Californians with an S.com. We need everyone to write their legislators and complain, like Dr. Rosie and Kent were saying, because we really need to create awareness about this and fix it before too many people lose their homes. This is like a slow drip effect. It's not like Prop 13 where everyone was hit. This happens to people and they wake up when they've lost a loved one, a parent, a grandparent, or even when their landlord passes away, because then they get this rent increase. Or small businesses, if they're paying double net and triple net leases, are like, how am I ending up paying $20,000, $30,000 a year?
Right.
Because of Prop 19.
Mm.
And you can imagine what these commercial building and property is worth. So just think about what the tax. Now, it's bad enough, okay, that when your children inherit the property, you know they're going to have a property increase, Keith, every year
Yes.
already. Now, that's enough to think about, wow, after 10 years, what would they be paying? If they're 50 or 60 still working, but the tax keep going up, even with that Social Security, if there's a large mortgage on this house, will they be priced out at 70 and not being able to stay in this house? This is no joke, folks. If you think homelessness is something now, I don't know. If I see it. I see it coming. If we don't stop this, it's not just being forced out of your house and go rent an apartment. It's forced out of your house and go to the street because you cannot afford to live in these renters' condition. I mean, you have people converting their garage, ADUs, studios where they're charging $1,800. People charging $1,000 to $2,000 a month to rent a room. If that's what we want California to look like. Wow.
Well, that's the problem, Dr. Rosie, is in Southern California, they're saying it takes $300,000 income to buy the average home. just a modest home. Up here in San Francisco Bay Area, it takes $500,000. That's why it's only 15% of Californians that can afford to buy. And $500,000 is only 1.8% of the nation makes that money.
Wow. Wow. This is actually frightening. Owning a home, Gina, has been the dream for American people, to have a home.
Okay.
That's why your parents made many sacrifices. They could have done other stuff, but they understood the importance of having a roof over your head. So that's why they did what they did. And now,
Exactly.
some, Keith, you know me, I'm going to be nice. Okay. I'm not going to say it. Go ahead, Gina,
See, and that's the thing is, right, a lot of people, they're insensitive to the fact that people have $1 million or $2 million home. They're actually like, oh, I feel so, sympathetic to those millionaires, right? Because they're like, sell it. But you know what? They've now done studies that if you sell, 1 million could last you 13.8 years in some parts of California.
All right.
So if you're a young senior, right, 60-something, 70-something, we've got volunteers whose parents are living to 101 beyond.
Yeah.
So if you live there, like you said, you're going straight from the house into homelessness. And our government doesn't notice this. It's not in my term of office that they want to deal with it. They should be dealing with it now. They kicked the can down the road for mental illness a long, long time ago. And now look at what we're dealing with on the streets with homelessness and mental illness.
Right. Gina, why do you think they are ducking and dodging, the politicians? I remember when I went to Sacramento, I think you remember when I was up there speaking at the Capitol, trying to speak to one of the representatives, ducked and dodged, didn't have time to see me. So I think it's time to start calling out people. Really, I do. Let me go to Shawannah. That's our other co-host. She joined us. She's a real estate guru. I want to know what she has to say about this conversation. Shawannah?
Good morning, Dr. Rosie and everyone out there. How do I feel about Prop 19? I thought it was an absolutely horrible prop when it was put out there. I was begging everybody not to say yes to it, but so many people said it, and it was a horrible move because they put something in there that looks good, that you're like, oh, yeah, I want that, but you don't really realize if this gets passed, and we got to feel it immediately, and I thought that we should definitely put together, all of us. There's so many of us, the parents own properties. It's not an accident that Crenshaw Boulevard is totally rebuilt. It's because people lost the property. The property value went up to $5 million. So now they got their sky rises that they wanted to put there. So, we need to come together as a team, as a family, because that's who we are, and make sure that this Prop 19 is overran, and we come back with our Prop 58, securing the inheritance of our family, because it's our right to do that. But we have to do it as a team, and we have to come together and realize it's only going to hurt all of us in total if we don't come together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Exactly, Shawannah.
You're looking at the high price of home, and you're looking at what the average mortgage note is. And you couple that with like the caller who called in talking about $4,000 a month. Couple that mortgage payment that's already $4,000 with another $4,000. You can't afford it, and you can't afford, the renters can't afford it. So where are we going with this? Gina, I want to know, how is it? I'm just puzzled. How is it that the people who represent us, they can't see this? Well, I guess not, because they have their home. Maybe it's paid for. Maybe they've cooked up enough money to pay for their house, and they leaving it free and clear to their children.
Well,
Talk to me,
Dr. Rosie,
Gina.
it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Because the average income I heard in California is about $80,000. But our legislators are making 100,000 plus. We all heard after the fires that one representative in government was making close to $800,000, and they get this money in their pensions after they retire, a big portion of it. Whereas the rest of us, we're struggling. I mean, that's the bad part, right? Is they don't see the struggles of the common man. They think, you know what? Tax the people. That's where we're going to come up with our money from our deficit. Tax the people, the properties. They are rich, but they don't realize that, we're getting to the point where the same dollar is being taxed over and over and over again. They say that in retirement, you're supposed to have $1 million in retirement, right? To survive. As a financial advisor, you probably suggest them to have that. Well, if it's locked up in the equity of a home, paper money, that's the best, because that means that it's going to reduce their costs in retirement. But once it's liquidated from the forced sale, it will only last them 13.8 years on average in California, which is not a good thing. And I feel bad for the future generations, because there are indications that they may need 3 to 5 million to retire. And that's what, our parents, our grandparents did, right? Or some of us are trying to do for our children, to set them up with that so that they actually have a roof over their head.
Gina, let me tell you this. If you're talking about people making $80,000 a year, number one, they're not getting home with that. You're looking at the taxes. If they are paying $3,500 a month for rent, okay, that's $42,000. So you take the $42,000 plus everything else that they have to pay for. That's almost poverty level in this economy. So
I was reading, Dr. Rosie, that a family of four making $120,000 a year ends up with $20,000 of debt every year after that. It's awful what they're trying to do to the common people.
Trying to put the people in debtors prison. Okay? That is a trap. It's something that we have to do something about. And for those who tune in late, you're listening to Express Yourself Hour. We're talking about your family's legacy is being stolen. And we're talking about how California death tax, Prop 19, is destroying generational wealth. And we need to do something about it. That is, if you love your children and your grandchildren, if you care about your community, turning it into a renter's space. Here in Southern California, down here in LA, Gina, if they are buying a home, if they buy a house, the investors, they will build 4 to 8 units where a house was with no parking. I mean, it's unbelievable what's happening in the Los Angeles area, in Southern California. It's absolutely incredible, and I feel sorry for the elders. They are going to be hit the hardest, you guys. They would be hit the hardest, because when these people are forced to sell these properties, forced to sell these apartments that they're in, it's no way they'll be able to pay rent. Back to you, my guest.
And it's a 1-2 punch and an uppercut. Basically, they passed Proposition 19 that said, we're going to force you to sell. And it was based on equity that they tried to sell this. And it ended up being basically generational wealth was stolen. And they basically let SB 9 and 10 take it and build the home, right? 4 to 10 pieces of property. Then if you don't build 4 to 10 pieces of property, the cities get fined. If you complain, they bring in a builder's remedy that says it lets them build anything they want to. So it's not the right way to do things. To take people's homes away from them to develop is not right.
It's not. It's not right. We have to fix this. When I say we, That means all of us. You might say, well, I don't have any children. I don't have any grandchildren. But you need to get involved because when one hurt, we all hurt. We learned that from 9/11. When one hurt, we all hurt. So we have to understand that. Keith, there's something on the board. Can you read it?
Okay. Capitalism is so corrupting. This whole system of governance and economics must be dismantled and replaced. America should have elected Bernie Sanders, yes, as a socialist back in 2016. America is finished as a viable nation. There's a lot to it. Basically, capitalism eats itself. That's, capitalism, even from the very beginning, had to have checks and balances on it. And it happened with FDR in the 30s. It should have happened under Clinton, but they took all the restrictors off, and this is where we are. So the thing is, the people have a say in how they're governed, and I think the people have gone to sleep. Because in the 60s, people used to rise up, and this wouldn't happen. But and in the 30s, that's what happened. In the 30s, people rose up and they changed it. People can change this, okay? People can determine what their government does, okay, instead of sitting back and taking it. Those legislatures are your representatives, not your not your rulers, okay? That's what we have to remember.
You're right, Keith. You're right. I mean, it's interesting because we looked at those that voted for Prop 19 and those areas that they represented. And these people were voting against their constituents. But I think their constituents, like you said, are asleep because, you know what, just like me, they probably just trust that their legislators are doing the right things for their families.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
okay.
now
I woke up to find out it's not true.
Well, the thing is, people just, I know, because I hear this all the time. People feel powerless. Okay, I can't afford rent. I can't afford a house. I said, you have City Hall. Okay, I remember there's one time I was on with Dr. Rosie. We talked about the homeless problem, right? And I said, okay, the city council meets in the same place across the street when homeless people sleep. They can just get up, walk across the street, and protest the city council where they're at. They don't have to go anywhere. But things, how come they don't? How come you stay in your condition and suffer and don't get up and take action? I think we have been taught that we're sheep instead of people.
Well, you see what happens.
And we need to organize.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's it. And see, when you get people pushed to the point where they're fighting, that's your security, basic needs are met, food, safety. When all of those things are not intact, then people tend to be asleep. They feel like, well, I can't worry about what's going on at the school. I don't care what's happening over across the sea. I'm trying to make sure I can pay rent. I want to make sure that I'm safe, that I'm not afraid to come out of my house. When your basic needs are not met, people tend to go to sleep on those other things, and they know that's what has happened. So they figure, well, what can you do? Do you have the money to sue us? Can you bring a lawsuit against us? So they just running rampant and doing what they're going to do. But folks, it does not take money to change things. Okay, study history and look how things were changed in this country under many conditions, and it was changed by people who had the least amount of money, but they used their voice.
Yeah, in my opinion, especially at the state representative level, 1,000 people actually emailed their rep and said, "We're going to start a recall campaign." That'll put a fear in their heart, okay, about what they're doing.
And that's what we need to do.
That's what we need to do. If just 1,000, it doesn't take a lot, okay? 100 people. If say, okay, we're going to organize a recall campaign because you're not doing this, and so, that's going to put a thought in their mind when they actually go to vote.
Absolutely, we do have rights. There's something on the board, Keith.
Okay, go ahead. Somebody want to say something?
Right, I want to say something. We do have our rights, but I want to remind everybody, every time when voting happens, we have to really, really understand what we're voting for. Because when Prop 19 came out, they felt like they were giving a trade-off. The trade-off was expanded tax benefits for seniors in fire victims.
See how that worked out.
Was that really a trade-off? Was that really a trade-off? And so people voted, oh, yes, let's do that, tax benefits. And they hid about the inheritance tax for the properties when they get transferred over, and they did not push that. They pushed the expanded tax benefits. I'm telling you, when you get these papers, don't go by what somebody sends you and say, vote this way. Don't do that. Read, because we do have rights, but we have to read because there's always something underlying, and we need to make sure. And even if you guys we all have to get together in little groups to read these propositions, we have to do it before we vote on it and have to go through all of this. But I am down for helping on Prop 19, getting this removed, because I don't agree with it. And I'm willing to do whatever we need to do. You do have my voice.
We have to start punishing. We have to start punishing these politicians for bad laws. Okay, why are you still in office and you passing bad legislation? Okay, we got to start punishing these people, not letting them off. Okay, go ahead.
And the problem is all these fake titles and summaries. So don't read the voter guide and think that what they say is the title and summary is accurate. Mm-hmm. This was the protect seniors, disabled, and wildfire victims. This is a senior scam. Seniors are being kicked out of their homes. Disabled families, who set their children up with investments and things like that, they're getting kicked out of their routines. And you know what? When I spoke to the author, the final chapter author, Kevin Mullen, who's now a congressman, that we promoted him, it's like, he said, you know why this was done, right? And I was like, why, Kevin, why? He said, for wildfire. No money has gone to wildfire in 3 years. And yet people are losing their homes. Businesses are being challenged. Tenants are having their rents increased. So don't believe the titles and summaries. It was kind of unfortunate because there was the Taxpayer Protection and Government Accountability Act, and it was removed by the California Supreme Court when the gist of it was to make sure that the titles and summaries were honest and fair.
Yeah, it was real tricky because they were saying to people, seniors can move from Los Angeles to Malibu or wherever and carry their tax base with them. How many damn seniors are moving? Okay? So people got caught up in it. So the bottom line, we got to fix it. We can fix it.
The impression that they wanted those rich bastards to pay their fair share. Well, for me, I'm not a rich bastard, and it's a struggle to pay my fair share, and it's not a fair share.
I like you.
And they went after the Jeff Bridges family.
Gina, I like this caller. I like what she said. She called them just what they are. Thank you, because they always on me. I try to bridle my tongue, but them low-down, dirty thieves, yeah, that's what I said. Folks, we got to do something. Do you love them more than you do your children? I'm asking a question. I'm just asking. Do you love them more than you love your children and your grandchildren? If you love your children and your grandchildren the most, then you need to step up and do something about it, folks. I give you 5 years, not a long time off, Keith. 5 years. Mm-hmm. If this thing does not stop, you may not even want to live in Los Angeles, even if you can afford a house. Because it is going to be so critical. In fact, someone wrote an article the other day was saying, should L.A. cancel the Olympics? Because things are so bad here. It made me think. You can lose a whole lot of money.
Not really.
It's not profitable. It may not be profitable while you got people in the street. You trying to host something?
They moved those people.
I'm going to leave it there.
They moved those people just like they did in Greece.
It wasn't profitable last time, Keith. It wasn't profitable. It was just excited to say we had it.
They made a lot of money. No, they made a lot of money.
That's not the stats I got. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to show you what
You can send it to me, but the thing is, they actually did an accounting of it. They made a lot of money off the Olympics in '84.
Okay,
But
that's
you can
my
send it.
report I got. I'll send it to you.
You can send it to me. But the thing is, they had to do an accounting, and they make quite a big sum of money. In fact, they had to donate a lot of that money. There's quite a bit of money they made.
I'll send you a report. We got
Okay.
something on the board?
Okay. Got a couple things.
Okay, let's read
It said many millennials are not able to own homes or start families in California. True. Their inheritance has been stolen by Prop 19. That's one of the reasons. They need to stand up and speak out. Many millennials are forced to be renters with ever increasing costs. It's dismal for young people. It's not just here. You look at New York, look at Florida, look at Chicago. There's a whole bunch of places where they can't afford to live. I hear this all the time. Okay. This second thing is the legislatures are absolutely wrong to keep encouraging high market values on California homes because they want more tax money. The higher market values, the more money the government makes. How dare they steal our kids and grandkids' inheritance? What's actually happening, if you look at places like Oakland and San Francisco and places like that, they're actually destroying their own towns, okay? Because your workers are moving out of the state because they can't live there, okay? There's a guy called Metal Leo that actually goes to these downtown areas in California, right? And they're barren, okay? There's no activities because all the people that would normally shop there and make the city like vital and alive, they left. Okay, you can have a whole bunch of rich people here if you want to, but the thing is, guess what? All your services and all the workers are leaving, and guess what happens when the workers leave? The rich people follow them, and that's what's happening. That's how come it used to be California had the second largest number of black people, right? That's not true anymore. We're down to fourth. It's because all the people those young people that couldn't afford to live here moved. And that's what's happening in California right now.
Well, I guess we're going to have a state of renters, investors making money, children not having anything, can't buy a house. They already have enough stacked against them because they can't pay that student loan, blocking them from buying a home. And now you come up with all of this. All I can say, my belief and my hope is we can fix this. And it needs to be fixed from a legislative standpoint, not with us having to stand out on the corner and beg people to sign something. It should not happen that way.
You basically, and this is something we need to. They're finding it out. Is that we need to fix it before it fixes it itself? Because if people can't afford to live, they're gonna leave. People are not gonna stay here and sleep on the street. They're gonna leave. Okay, and that's what's happening right now. So we need to fix it before it fixes itself.
Well, Keith, every state tends to try to follow whatever started in California tend to be a trend going other places. So we're looking at if it's not fixed. I believe if we fix it, when this type of thing happened in other states, they will look at what we did, and then they will look at their situation. Because we're going to see it all over places now, like Texas and all these places, Nevada. They're really kind of pissed because they said their property values raised because people are migrating to those areas. So it's a national problem. But we want to fix California because we want our children to stay here because that's where they're rooted. That's why we have worked and sweat and blood to have something. So we need to fix it. So I'm calling on everybody who listens to this show. In fact, this is going to be placed on YouTube. I have a YouTube show with all of my previous shows. That way, people who didn't get a chance to hear this, they'll be able to go to Dr. Rosie YouTube, and they'll be able to get a good understanding. So, Gina, you want to sum it up, what we're talking about, and sum it up telling people what they need to do.
Thank you, Dr. Rosie. So here's the thing is that even though we want our legislators to do it for us, if they don't, we still will have to get those signatures, hopefully. So we need people to go register at repealthedeathtax.com so our sponsors will start the third campaign if our legislators don't help us. Now, like Senator Ciarto, who drafted the SDA 4, said, you know what, we will remember. And like Keith said, we need to hold them accountable and let them know we're not happy if they're voting against our interests, if they're voting against the Californians' interests and taking away our family homes, our small businesses, raising rents on tenants. We need everyone to write to the legislators and make sure that they know that they need to draft a constitutional amendment to fix Prop 19.
Tell them again how to find who their representatives are. Can you give them that information once again?
Yes. So you'll go to find up again. Sorry, my screen closed down. If you just go to forcalifornians.com, forcalifornians with an S.com, we have it on the home page how to find your representative. It's very easy. You basically plug in your address. They'll tell you who your senator and your assembly person is. The actual link to it, though, is findyourrep.legislator.ca.gov. So write to them. Tell them that we can't allow this travesty of intergenerational injustice to continue, that if we can't pay, we can't stay. Like Keith was saying, people are leaving. The top 1% pays 40% of California taxes. So guess what happens? They're trying to force the working middle class to pay. Well, you know what? The working middle class might only have their family home. We save a lot of money in government by grandparents taking care of grandchildren and then kids taking care of their parents as they age. This is billions of dollars, and they're breaking all of this. So help us to repeal the death tax by registering at repealthedeathtax.com. Thank you.
I was thinking before we end the show, I know we're about to end, but I thought of this great idea just now. Doing a Zoom link. If you call your anybody, the state legislative, the council person, whoever that we need to speak with, we can actually have a Zoom call with thousands of people on there, and they can actually hear the voice of the people. They can see the voice of the people. And I think it would be an excellent idea. When the fires were happening, I was able to put together meetings with different council people to get the equipment and stuff out to and I had thousands of people on there. I had Karen Bass was on there. A couple of other members were on there, and all you have to do is put it together, let the people speak, and we can get all the homeowners in all the areas that eventually they're going to pass away to come on and have a voice. And I think it would be a fantastic idea.
Why don't you organize that for Southern California? Okay. Can you do that?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put something together, and then I'll tell you about it, and we can just go ahead and broadcast it. But everybody has to show up. They can't not show up. They can't say, well, I
think they will if they know. So it's going to be actually having them to know. We got to move. We have to move swiftly. But the main thing we want them to go to, Gina, give them that website again so that Howard Jarvis Association will know that we're serious, will know that we're out here fighting for this to, to come to pass. They need to hear from us. See, people can't put a lot of energy in fighting for the people, and the people just sitting back sleeping, watching TV. So we got to make those calls. We got to go to that website. We got to let them know. We want this thing to happen. Am I right, Gina?
We do. So register at repealthedeathtax.com. We do have volunteers that meet weekly at 7 p.m. on Thursdays via Zoom. You'll find that link on the website. So, Shawannah, I would be happy to work with you to get this together. Northern California, Central Coast, and Southern California, and let's get the legislators to know we're angry. We need to make sure that they're aware that people are losing their homes and small businesses.
And what we're going to do when we pull some of these meetings together, I will be talking to people who know that directly impact. We're going to get videos. We're going to have clips. I think we need to put a face to this problem because people don't realize. Because people go away quiet when things happen. They don't tell their neighbors. They don't tell their friends. Wow, I lost the house. The tax is going up. People tend to disappear. I think it's time to put some faces on this crisis? What you think?
I think so. I think, you know what, there's some guilt too. When someone has something, they don't want to let other people know. But you know what? It's going to cost our government more money when people go homeless. I was hearing it was something like $150,000 per homeless person that they're spending to support them. If you just left people in their homes with affordable housing, you know, it would be better than paying $150,000 per person per year.
Ooh, that's a lot of money. You could have almost bought them a house. Wow. Well, Gina, I want to thank you for being my guest. I'm definitely going to have you back because we have to keep at least every 2 months or so, we're going to have to bring this issue up. In addition to, Shawannah, I want you to connect with Gina and I want you to spearhead so we can get this done. Gina, thank you so much. And we shall
Thank
be
you,
talking.
Dr. Rosie.
Keep the fight going, okay? This show is going to re-air tonight, innerlightradio.com at 6 p.m. It's going to re-air at 6
Thank
p.m.
you.
Thank you, and have a great day.
Okay. You too.